So in today's video, as I did speak about strength and stuff, last time, I'm going over range of motion. So if you haven't seen the other video, which is more like how I got stronger and maintained strength even through injury, I'd recommend watching that. But the most important thing is form when it comes to definitely all your strength movements, your compounds, and one of those bits of form is range of motion. Range of motion is getting the full stretch and contraction that enables the entire movement. So like with your chest, your arm should be back here. Say if you got a fly or something, your pecs are stretched and then you come in and squeeze. So that's full contraction and full range of motion. Range of motion is the flexibility of those muscles. Now, some people may have limitations, either a disability or, may have an injury. But to most people, they don't have these problems because if you think about it, our ancestors probably had the flexibility of, anyone out there. And, as you can see by a lot of people who are very flexible, even men, you can see the body can adapt to those things, get more flexible. They can, doing stretches and all that kind of stuff. And this prevents injury because I'll tell you about a story of, my own. So when I started squatting, I didn't squat to full depth. I basically went to here. So imagine this is my knee. I went above parallel and my friends kept on saying, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. I ignored it like an idiot. And I got injured. My hip flexor and all those kind of little muscles there on my left side got injured. And, I couldn't squat for a while. And that's when I dialed in and the fact that I need to, squat deeper. And through that, I enabled myself to get stronger and, kind of put myself onto this path where, I'm still learning, of course, but I have shoes, I have shoes to help me hit depth and stuff like that, which in order to, hit full depth on squat, you need to do your stretches, your dynamic stretches and stuff. But that's the full range of motion. You need to be all the way down because if you think about it, you're only just straining more muscles if you're not going all the way down. Granted, this can be, kind of the opposite if you are doing what's called quarter reps, which quarter reps are more of an athlete thing, but I do see a lot of athletes do full squats as well as quarter squats because, the quarter squats are more for power, in a run. So you see Usain Bolt doing them, you see all these people who are mainly for that, bit of power like that, do those quarter reps. And they're not even half reps, they're just quarter reps. So basically you go from here, bang, bang. It's those little things. But doing half reps when you're trying to do a full squat is only going to lead to injury because a quarter squat is basically there. Not much strain is on the hip flexors at all. Meanwhile, if you're quarter of the way down, you are putting your hip flexors here at a bit of more risk. So I definitely would say to all people to, hit depth and stuff like that, as well as bench press, because you see a lot of people not even touch their chest because they're too scared of it, rolling onto their neck or something, because I've heard someone say that before. Now with bench press, it's, you go all the way down, touch your chest. It's meant to be slightly under your titty. So, if you have humongous, jugs, just do slightly underneath. Or if you want to get limited range of motion or something, you could always put it here, whatever's your preference, as long as you don't kill yourself while doing it. But a bench press is where you go all the way down, pause for a second, and then go back up. Many people don't understand that. And that can lead to shoulder stiffness. Now, I've never experienced that. My shoulder injury came from being a fucking idiot and lifting my ass. But essentially, it can cause stiffness. So imagine I can't go past here because of all the stiffness and stuff, and I haven't managed to, you know, stretch the muscle, which stretching the muscle is what gives the most tears, you know, the most micro tears in order for muscle to grow. And that's why I kind of like drill home here, is because flexibility will allow you to get bigger because you are stretching the muscles more, and, you know, basically makes your muscles bigger and stronger. So I will preach in this video, and I will preach in the future, always to do full range of motion, because the lack of range of motion is probably what's limiting your gains. So you're not getting bigger, you're just staying at newbie gains, kind of like shit. And then you're not getting stronger because you're being an idiot. And then 3, you know, it's very unhealthy for your joints and stuff like that, meaning you probably will quit because you got injured so many times. So hopefully this little segment has, you know, enlightened you and stuff like that, because full range of motion is very important. Please do not do, you know, core reps. By I mean core reps is essentially not at the bottom stage. So at the stage of where your muscle is the most stretched, core reps can be quite useful muscle. So like, you know, half reps, going like that in like a chest fly is okay because you're getting the full stretch. But what I mean is literally this on a chest fly, you know, because you're only enacting stiffness onto your body because you're not really going past. As well as like, you know, adductors. I do adductors all the time to help with flexibility, but also strength, because adductors are very important in my squat. But I see a lot of people just do this because 1, they can't spread that wide, and 2, you know, the adductors are very weak, which I would prefer a lot of people to go, you know, lighter, but have more of a stretch, you know, try and progressively overload your stretching. So just a matter of opinion. But anyway, it is week 1, so we're essentially warming up into the 1 rep maxes, starting off with 215 for 1 and 120, I believe, or 125 for a single, both for singles, and then 215 on deadlift, you know, because I'm working up to bringing back my deadlift again and stuff like that. So you can stick around. I, you know, commentate over what I've did, how it felt and stuff like that. So you might get something out of that as well. But anyway, let's get into the gym. So starting off with squats with 215 and then 185 for the back off sets of 5. So in recent times, my hip's been getting better, you know, and for those who are new here, I had a bit of a hip issue just purely because of a weakness in my leg, and I'm getting that sorted anyway. I've been doing the exercises, and, you know, I've been squatting quite pain-free, so hopefully the pain doesn't come back. The original source of the pain was because I think I injured it doing like half squats and that kind of stuff when I was, you know, 2 years younger or something like that. It's been a long time, but essentially I injured myself being an idiot, so I have to deal with those consequences, which is essentially dealing with the pain of you know, if I do a squat incorrectly, then, you know, it's gonna really hurt. So, but anyway, bench press 120 and 110 for a back off set of 5 reps for 2 sets. Now with bench press, pretty easy, you know, it's not you know, going down, you know, 120 for me is fairly easy, you know, 110, you know, trying to, you know, get those reps out, challenge myself, and, you know, I think by the end of this block I might try and get, you know, 5 reps with 120 again, because I believe when I did 120 for 5, my arse did lift off, and that was when I, like, before my injury of my shoulder, because
that whole injury was because I lifted my ass so many times that it kind of put my shoulder in a vulnerable position. And I would like to try that again, try and like push myself in that way, but I didn't get the incline press, which I do incline barbell press purely because it helps with bench press, and it's my more preferred form of an incline press of sorts, because I'm getting the strength benefits and stuff like that, but I couldn't get onto it, and the Smith machine was taken. But I was definitely very tempted to do the TNF incline press, where he does like a different grip, where he's like gripping it the other way and sort of like using his like upper pec to push that. I'm kind of like very intrigued on how that feels, so maybe when I've done my deload week I might give it a try, because everyone's raving about it, so I might give it a try. It might be the new secret to getting double D titties, so you never know. But in the meantime, doing some cable flies. Cable flies, of course, staple of most chest workouts. You kind of do need one. Gives that full stretch of the pectoral muscle, and I definitely say, especially when I had a shoulder injury, it was there as a it helped me keep my chest intact, not chest builder when I had my shoulder injury, I think a year ago now, almost a year ago, which I built up my bench press yet again with better form, and I think I'm a lot stronger, because 140 and 142.5 felt like way better than they could ever feel. So I'm definitely very excited for 150, and I know I'm gonna hit it, and I know in my confidence I'm going to be able to achieve that goal of mine. But yeah, bench press all sorted, and chest is all sorted for now. Going on to triceps, yeah, again, my tricep training has changed over time. I used to do it like 3 times a week, but now I'm doing it like 2 times a week, and I've noticed quite a few changes. I've noticed my lateral head become a lot prominent and bigger, and the overall structure of my tricep is getting a lot bigger, because with my tricep insertions, it's quite thick. It doesn't resemble a horseshoe like a lot of triceps. It's very much like a slab of meat is what I would definitely say my tricep looks more like. It doesn't look like a horseshoe, it looks more like a camel toe, I guess, if you want to call it that thing. But yeah, again, I'm quite low. I would like to say I have quite low tricep insertions, so it takes a lot longer for them to build up and stuff, and plus me neglecting them when I first trained was kind of like the problem of them. So I just go very intensely on like tricep extensions, which I'm doing here right now, and then tricep push downs, try and go as far as possible, which I used to do skull crushers, but unfortunately I don't really have a gym partner to help me with skull crushers most of the time, so I just gave up on them. Although I did get up to like 55 kilos on skull crusher, doing it for like 10 reps. I was kind of like, it's not really helping my bench. I can't really feel it as a tricep hypertrophy movement, so I kind of like dumped it for now. And if I do need more like tricep strength, I'll definitely go back to it. But it's just having that person there to spot you is kind of like up in the air, because I don't really have anyone go at the times I'm going, so but yeah, moving on to push down, trying to get the long head of the tricep as well as the medial head, which I think a lot of the time when you're doing triceps you are basically doing the medial head anyway, but it's kind of like intertwined behind both of the lateral head and the long head. So it's kind of like in between those, and you can kind of see it when you know, extend your tricep. It's kind of like those long strands and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely say they get stimulated either way. So yeah, doing a drops at the end, you know, just to finish off the triceps and make sure that I've done enough work on them for them to, you know, essentially grow, because doesn't want your triceps to grow and get some big fuck off arms? Because, you know, my arms throughout my lifting haven't been this staple point of my physique, because I'll say this, my arm genetics are not the greatest, and I definitely had very skinny arms. So you'll be able to see here, you know, as we go into like the posing bit here, I've got all right shoulders. It's just like my arms need to improve and stuff like that. And yeah, overall, I think everything needs to improve anyway. So yeah, we'll be working on that as we go along in our gym journey. But anyway, 215 on deadlift. I'm doing this completely beltless, by the way. I was very impressed by myself. So this is kind of like a PR anyway. So a beltless deadlift. I did it because I was extremely bloated, and I thought, if I deadlift now with a belt on, I'm either going to shit myself or I'm either going to throw up. So essentially, I used the bloatiness to kind of use as like a belt anyway. So at least I know my abdominals are not weak as shit, because they're quite strong, as you can tell right here, because I was able to deadlift 215 pretty easily, to be fair. And then 185, I believe, 185 for 5 for 3 sets. So yeah, pretty decent. Now you're probably thinking, why are you doing the same weights as your squat? It's just purely because they kind of like, my deadlift went down, my squat's going up, so it's kind of like they're meeting at a certain point. At least it's not like before, where they literally were the same. But definitely, you know, deadlifters getting back into it and, you know, getting stronger and stuff like that. So it's just like building that back up, which will be beneficial in the future. But anyway, lat pull downs as usual, you know, trying to get those lats and stuff like that. Unfortunately, couldn't get the low rope or any kind of rope because they were all being used. But yeah, it was a very sad time, because, you know, I would love to do some rows and stuff like that to, you know, build out my, you know, traps and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, the lat pull down and lat pull over was the only thing I could do for my back on this day, because, you know, seriously, when it comes to this gym, it's the people that just take for fucking forever. And yeah, it's very hard to get things. So but anyway, I choose the gym because it's cheap. Well, for me. For other people, it's like 35, nearly enough 40 quid, which I wouldn't really pay for this gym with that kind of price. I paid 20 quid because I got a deal which I'm kind of sticking to until I have to leave because I'm too fucking strong. So yeah, essentially until I deadlift 300, which would probably snap the bars in this gym, I'm not leaving. So if once I reach 300 on deadlift, and I have to, you know, go up and stuff, then I have to go to a different gym at that point. So yeah, hopefully that day will come and yeah, be all sorted. But anyway, lat pullovers, you know, usual, try and get the upper lats and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the, you know, lat pull downs are more for like your lower lats and kind of stuff. You know, build out that V-taper, because I do find when I'm looking at myself like at the front, I kind of do have, I wouldn't say a blocky waist, but like, you know, I'm not like a V shape really. I'm more of a, you know, kind of rectangle weird thing. But I would prefer to have, you know, kind of like lower lat insertions, which I think my lat insertions are quite high in a way, because they attach very high up, which you'll get to see when I pose at the end, that they're quite high inserting, like they don't like go all the way down to like your rib cage and all that kind of stuff. They're kind of like Wesley Vissers mats. They kind of like poke out, and that's kind of it. Like they're not inserted at the most aesthetic angle whatsoever. But it definitely makes for good. I wouldn't say back shots, but it makes for good back posing shots, just to avoid it sounding a bit weird. But yeah. But anyway, less of back. We're on to biceps. Doing some preach curls, because of course I preach the preach curl, because of course I used to have skinny arms, but this has built up my biceps, and doing like incline curls for a long time. And I definitely say, if you want to build your biceps, all you need is like 2 movements, and the movements are essentially a front bicep movement, so in front of your body, and a behind the back bicep movement, which builds out your like short head and stuff like that. Which the preach curl here is more activating your long head, which is of course the longest muscle in your bicep, which is the one that's closest to your body, and the short head is on the outside, so the outside muscle. So essentially both are important in building a good set of biceps, because the short head kind of like builds the thickness, meanwhile the long head builds that that peak that you get. And when you're doing a double bicep and stuff like that kind of stuff, yeah, biceps look amazing. So, and plus, for all you looks maxing weirdos out there that basically devote your life to looking pretty for the females like biceps, so you might as well fucking do them. So essentially ticked off every single person that probably thought biceps are useless. Biceps are very good, especially in attraction and stuff like that. So but yeah, biceps pretty much on the preach curl finished at this point. Be going on to incline curls next, which is more of like a Sebum-esque style approach, because he does more of a incline, so like he's more like 30 degrees, and here it's kind of like 40 degrees, because this gym has multiple benches and it's not like even Stevens, so I didn't really know what kind of angle I was at, but I still did them anyway. But usually I'd have it on like a lower incline, but the benches, this kind of bench that I'm on is kind of like iffy really on what kind of degree you're aiming for. But after this we'll be doing forearms, so essentially targeting the big meaty bit on your forearm, which is like the under bit, and then the brachialis, which is the top bit going from like your bicep to your forearm. They're very important, especially in like aesthetic reasons, because the whole goal of my gym journey is to be big and be strong kind of thing. I want to see how big my muscles can get, and as well as how strong I can get. So yeah, again, I don't do this for female validation. I do it for my own mental sanity. So because I find peace in training, and I find it as my that one good thing that I'm good at, because yes, I do MMA, yes, I do archery, but I'm not the best, of course. But of course I'm not the best at this, but it's kind of like your own personal journey. You're not really comparing yourself to anyone. So yeah, that's my take on the gym and stuff like that, and I just find it a bit peaceful, unless you're waiting for machines because someone's dickying about, which is quite a lot of the time, to be fair, in this gym. But yeah, you just have to deal with it. But yeah, trying to build out the forearms, because my forearms are very weak on my physique, so trying to build them out, try and make them look more aesthetic, more proportional, and hopefully in the future I will not have to look at my forearms and think they kind of resemble Lego hands. So but yeah, this is wrist curl, so it's doing mainly the big meaty bit, but also like reverse curl, it does your brachialis but also like your big meaty bit as well, because I find once I've done the wrist curl and then I move into reverse curl, it's kind of like using those muscles, and definitely helps with like thickening my wrist area, because I do find sometimes my wrist can be a bit weak, but only in certain situations they can be a bit weak, supposedly. But anyway, I'm joined by Sexy Mullet Man, aka the Trunk Swole, aka Mr. Dickies himself, aka Mustache Boy. But that's essentially my pull day done. And then after giving the cable to trusty Sexy Mullet Man here, I go on to pose, which will be in a couple seconds. You get to see my like back development and stuff like that, and kind of like what I'm talking about when it comes to my lats, especially from the front, which you'll see in a second. I do like a front pose, so like what I usually do on like a push day, and then I go into like more of like back day poses of like trying to do a front double and all that kind of stuff, and then flexing the lats and stuff like that, which you can see I'm not the leanest. I'm definitely not the leanest at all, but you can at least see a bit of muscle definition. But anyway, that's all for me today. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.